Welcome everybody back to once again another episode of Let's Set the Tone, a roundtable discussion. This time about season 2 of Peacemaker. There's going to be spoilers, so I'm going to start out with that right away. So we're not going to hold anything back. Appreciate everybody's patience. This was supposed to happen this last Wednesday. I managed to get sick because of one of the guests that's going to be on here today. I'm blaming now, and it's been a rough week, but. I did get some more content out yesterday as well too, so I'm definitely feeling better. We'll talk about that at the end, but now at this point, the cough is kind of back. I don't know what's going on, so bear with me there. I do got my awesome Midwest Kleenex because I ran out of actual Kleenex around here, so my nose is a little bit raw. But no, really excited to do this. We got a couple new bloods on for this as well too. And of course we got one of our normal returning folks as well, because we can't do anything without him, because he's a vital part of my life and my heart. But anyways, without further ado, let's get some of these folks on. I do want to first say that unfortunately Drastin can't make it tonight. His daughter's been sick, so he's going to stay with her tonight and keep track of her. So well wishes to her. Hopefully she gets a speedy recovery soon. Just saw her last weekend. Hopefully soon she gets to be able to turn around and get out of her situation there. So unfortunately he couldn't make it, so it's just going to be four of us tonight. But I do want to get on new blood here. Welcome everybody. It's kind of a 7 Dungeons night tonight, so it would have been huge 7 Dungeons. We had 3, but we got 2 of the guys from 7 Dungeons tonight at the very least. So a Pork Chop Express, and if you guys don't know what that is, shame on you, look it up. Welcome. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you for having me on.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Well, last time we did the alien discussion, he was in the chat screaming at us the entire time. He had a lot of things to say, and he's like, I want to be on sometime. You need to get me on. So I'm like, all right, perfect. So I thought this would be a good time to be able to get you on, of course, talking about something comic booky as well, too. So,
yeah.
No, I'm glad to have you on here then. And then, of course, you've seen this fella around a couple of times and some of the other stuff. He's also my co-host of Dungeon Banter on the 7 Dungeons channel, but one and only Jehovah. Welcome once again, friend. Jehovah.
What's up, guys?
I don't know that guy, and if he tells you he does, he's a liar.
He's a liar. That's right. That is right. Well, good.
I watched the Alien Earth stream, and your other guest that's about to get debuted talked me out of watching the show, but it's okay because I just messaged Tone and I said, hey, bring me in for a franchise that isn't already dead. And so that's why I'm here.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, and that's pretty much literally what he said too. He won't hold back either. So no, that's funny. So, and then of course, the one and only Mocha Skin Manimal. His mother called him son because he shines like one. Rohit Raju. Welcome, brother.
Rohizzle here in the house. I can't wait to talk about this. And guess what? I'm probably going to be the least volatile this time around. So I get to be calm, Rohit, which is pretty nice. I'm actually the general audience when it comes to this because, I was brought in just because John Cena was in it. So I just can't wait to talk about it. But I also can't wait to hear other people's takes on what they liked and disliked and why. So I'm very interested in this. Yeah, so you won't get an Alien Earth rant from me with this time.
Perfect. So, well, awesome. Well, so really just to kind of jump in and kind of kick it off here, I always like to go around kind of the room here and the Bald crew. We got Peanut Gallery already out here. The Bald crew. Oh my God, it is the Bald crew.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. She's right on that one. I like to go around the horn here and just kind of get everybody's, just general thoughts. You can talk a little bit good, bad if you want. We'll go around, kind of hear what everybody just generally thought of the season, what you maybe even think of the series, and then we'll get a little bit more granular with some questions about specific things that maybe you liked, didn't like, etc., and a few other things too. So I'm trying to always like evolve the content. So I'm going to try and see if I can kind of steer it in different directions a little bit too, just kind of see what works because I thrive in chaos, so that's just how I like to roll. But I'm going to kick it off, to have, Pork Chop on here as well for the first time to do some content here. So I'm going to start with you, man. Like, kind of give us, a synopsis of overall what you think of the season. And then,
in general, Peacemaker is just fun. Like, I get it. I mean, I don't have the same with James Gunn. I don't have the same enthusiasm like with Superman that you guys did. there's times for it, and then there's not times for it. And to me, like Superman is just not. He's supposed to be lighthearted, not joke, joke, joke. But with the Peacemaker, it's like you're taking a character that really nobody knew about, even in comics. It's like the Suicide Squad situation. Good read, but it's the same thing over and over again. I liked Peacemaker season one over season two. I thought the acting from like John Cena was a lot better in season two. I mean, you can see that he was an improvement for what was going on, but he's also had projects that he had done between these takes as well. Um, the finale, man, it just was. It wasn't there. We could have ended this at season 7 or episode 7, and it would have been it. Now that they're not even James Gunn's is talking about not even doing a third season, so it's like yeah,
I didn't see that.
He was talking about a season 3, so it's like you've built all this stuff up, and what are you going to do? You're going to try to like mix and match it into new DC movies? Well, I mean, it didn't quite work for Marvel, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty big. There's a large group of people that agree with that. I feel like, for sure. But I did not hear that season 3 might be on the table because of it as well too, or shelved. But that's really effing weird. How. Well, I'll dive more into that in a minute here. I'll throw it over to Rohit for a moment here. Go ahead, Rohit. Give me your thoughts here.
Tone, when you're sick and you cough, were you like this the whole time? Rest, I must forever sleep. Were you like that, just covering up while Britt like feels your forehead to see if you have a fever?
There was actually times that there were definitely times where she was checking on me because I felt like I was feverish. Yes.
I gotta agree with Porkchop. That finale, that was not a good finale for me. Yeah, it didn't hit. I'm biased a little bit though because I love John Cena as a professional wrestler, and watching him go from professional wrestling to acting, and a lot of times, a lot of people, The Rock did it well, Batista did it well, but a lot of people they turn their nose up at that. So to see Cena kind of do his thing and improve from the last season, that wins me over. I like season 2 over season 1 just because it was more grounded and I didn't want to see another fate of the world thing. I enjoyed the relationship with his brother, his father. I enjoyed the conflict he had. I enjoyed him overcoming things, and certain other characters did too. But I felt like their stories were kind of rushed. And for me, one of the reasons why I liked it a little bit better is because the James Gunnisms, the James Gunn humor, was kind of pulled back. I feel like Vigilante is a metaphor for James Gunn, to where he was kind of like subdued this season, except for the last episode, to where his comedy is very chaotic, but it's almost like it overstays its welcome. And there was times with Tim Meadows, and I'm a fan of Tim Meadows, but there was times with him like they were really trying this humor, and I was like, okay, we get it. He's goofy. He's whatever. He's quirky. But it was a little bit more subdued than it was in season 1 for me. I'm not a big DC guy. I'm a very generic DC guy. I've, read the Batman and a bunch of Superman stuff, but when it comes to the nitty gritty, I don't know a lot. So I only know about like the cinematic stuff. So I'm coming in as the general audience, so to speak. So I came in for fun. It delivered fun. I came in to see John Cena grow, and the characters grow, and I enjoy the camaraderie between the 11th Street kids, and that was something that I got out of this season, and that's what I wanted. And I knew I liked it because I couldn't wait to see what would happen the next week, and I would tune in, and I couldn't wait to watch it. So for me, the season was fine. It was good. It does disappoint me that it didn't get a lot of views. Apparently, that's why maybe there's no season 3. And so I said the same thing. I got to hold this accountable, just like I did Alien Earth. I hate it when they build a season and they leave it like I mean, it did complete a lot of things. It connected a lot of the dots, but they leave it with that big cliffhanger. So now you're not going to get a season 3. And like Porkchop was saying, you got to incorporate that into other things. And I don't think that works. That always works in the best way. However, they did announce that Vigilante will be in, was it Man of Tomorrow? So they announced that as well. So we'll see where it goes.
I think he's definitely a fan favorite. I'm a super fan of that, and I like
I
some
do
of the
like
things
him.
that you kind of said in there too. For sure, yeah. I think he definitely was the more subdued in this season, and I'll get into some of that in a little bit here about him because there were some really amazing moments with him though. But I think
Yeah.
you're right. The
Vigilante
James,
on Vigilante was amazing.
yeah, and I think it means more when it's packaged like this instead of
Mhm.
constant James Gunn isms, as you said. So I think that definitely worked better. But I also think that was also because of the theme of this season, kind of why they kind of railroaded him a little bit more too, which I'm glad they did for that reason. But all
Yep.
right, Jehovah, you're up now. Go ahead.
So first, Tone, can you check your desk real quick
Yeah,
because
let me see.
Rooney on the spectrum really needs her glasses back so that she can finish her vigilante cosplay that she's
Oh
planning for next
man,
year.
yeah. I'll have to check around. It might be because it matches kind of the carpet. I'll check for her glasses for sure.
So first of all, I don't want to toss like credentials or anything out there, but I am a DC Comics super fan. Everybody else did grow up on Marvel Comics. I grew up on DC. Like that was my thing, all the way from the A-listers all the way to the D-listers, like the White Rabbit, who we'll be talking about, I'm sure. Um, for me, the 8th episode of Peacemaker season 2 did what Marvel was trying to do with She-Hulk in her final episode, only they actually did it in a way that made sense to us. No matter who you are, whether you liked it or you didn't, at least the 8th episode made sense from a storyline standpoint. She-Hulk, it got so crazy with the anticlimactic ending that it took me completely out of the series. Whereas Peacemaker, like episode 8 took me on this roller coaster of he's finally accepting who he is, he's moving on, like and I'm so happy for him. And then they leave us off on such a good cliffhanger, and such a good cliffhanger that is going to immediately lead us into the project that James Gunn wasn't planning on doing, which is Man of Tomorrow. And so I think the thing about DCU and Peacemaker season 2, I think is a good sign of that, is Gunn is paying attention to what is working in the DCU and what is not. People responded very, very well to Lex Luthor. They responded very, very well to the Justice Gang. And so he's like, fuck it, let's get that story rolling. And I mean, Salvation Run is one of my favorite DC crossover stories of all time, and to know that that is on the table and that it is coming, I just want to say thank you, James Gunn, because Peacemaker season 2 was everything that I needed it to be. Maybe not everything I wanted, but it was everything I needed it to be, and it's moving the story of the DC universe forward.
It definitely did that. I think that was a really cool part the world building there was spot on with that season. It helped the overall DC. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It did a great job with that.
For me, like I'm gonna be honest, and I'm definitely gonna be probably a lot in the minority here. I really liked the last episode of that season. Matter of fact, to the point where I understand why people wanted more from that, and the kind of the anticlimactic, or kind of how it ended, him ending up in what's that realm, is that the Salvation realm, or
Salvation.
yeah. I'm not a DC guy, clearly. Like I mean I grew up mostly, if it was any DC, it was typically Batman, especially if it was like during the Nightfall, all that saga. I was a big fan of that.
Mhm.
And my Superman experience was mostly surrounding around the death of him, the lead up, aftermath, all that stuff. I loved all that stuff. I was that 90s kid that was intaking as much as I could, and when everybody was killing off the main guys or hurting stuff, like I was all for it. But other than that, of course, like Green Lantern stuff, I don't know a ton about, but I always like really enjoyed them, and clearly always kind of a Guy Gardner secret fan here too. But honestly, no, I loved the season. I felt like it was nice to have the drawback from season 1 with a little bit of comedy. Season 1 was great because it really had a lot of the laughs and a lot of comedic bits, but like they established it, they got it out of the way, and then this one had a lot of levity, not levity, excuse me, exposition. It just felt like it was written incredibly well to see these characters, and not just Peacemaker. Peacemaker had, and I'll get to that with the finale, like all the characters had character growth, like really, really good character growth in so many different ways, even if they were subtle, even if the Economos, like it was subtle things with him that I noticed that he did in season 2 that he would have never done in season 1, like the sticking his neck out for everybody constantly, even for like Peacemaker and stuff like that. Like he's a coward and he wouldn't have done that stuff, and he doesn't want to do anything or move. And he was the opposite of that. Addie, like I really like her character. I don't know what it is about her character. She that woman is an incredible actress, and I hope to see her in more stuff. She wears all the emotions from top to bottom, front to back. Like she really, really, really drew me in this season. Hardcore, everything she's going through, like it's interesting to see a role like that be with somebody, that's a woman that's going out and doing the bar fight thing and all this stuff, because it's not typically something you see, but it really shaped kind of her character and how she was hurting and dealing with her pain and things in that nature. And of course, again, like I love Vigilante. That's by far my favorite character, because I gotta have a dose of chaos. But John Cena overall in this role, if we've seen it a couple times, and we saw it in season 1. We're like, this guy, like, listen, I love The Rock. That's usually controversial. He gets typecasted. I think when he's in the right roles, he really can do good acting, good drama, and has some range. I think it's not his fault that where he gets casted sometimes. I mean, maybe it is. He signs the paper, right? But John Cena, to me, like when I look between the two of them, if I'm looking for drama and all kinds of stuff now, I'm looking at John Cena now for the guy to do that, because I like the breakdowns that he had and some of the way he expressed his emotion, especially at the end of 7, was like mind blowing to me. But here's my thing. I come back to the last episode there. I actually don't agree with everybody, because I feel like that the entire season was about him dealing with his emotions, his loss, his pain, and we got 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes out from the end of that episode, and finally Harcourt gave him the honest answer that he was looking for 8 other episodes, 7.5 episodes. Finally gave it to him, and that was his final boss. She finally admitted that yes, it meant something, and he went back into that hotel room and expressed complete and utter like joy, and like everything that he battled through that entire season, whether good, bad, or ugly, all made worth it, because he finally got what he needed, which was somebody to fucking finally admit that they actually give shit about him. And a lot of the characters kind of have, but it was somebody that he really wants to put his care into as well. He goes into this dimension and lives a fake life because he, of the guilt of his brother and the non-relationship with his father. And here they are doing this. And Harcourt to him was kind of that like almost salvation for it. And he got that. So I actually feel like that was reconciled really well. Like, yeah, it wasn't a big explosion, wasn't a big battle fight, and maybe they pulled the wool on some of the stuff, but from a character standpoint and the growth and the things that I needed from a character to see that was huge for me. And I was like, wow, like that was, and I almost kind of feel like that might have been missed in some sense, because everybody was maybe looking for other things instead of seeing what was really in front of our face. So I got long-winded on that one, but you guys, I figure you guys probably want to dissect that some. So go ahead.
I think a lot of it was like overlooked. It was like, I get what you're saying. Yes, like I said, John Cena's range like severely improved throughout the season 2. Like the fact that he walked over, his brother was alive, his dad wasn't a douche, all these things that he was missing out in his life here. And it's like, and the themes of it too go back to like the Suicide Squad. It's like him killing, Rick Flag Jr. because he was ordered to do so. It's like, it's not like he didn't want to do that. It was, Amanda Wallace was like, this is what I want you to do. Fucking do it. If you want to live, do it. So it's like, I hate to say it, putting it, when we were talking about D&D beforehand, and we get put in these situations, and it's like it's always the wrong situations. It's always something's going, out of your control.
It's real life though, right?
Right. But it's just like it's a shit thing after, especially with the first episode when he goes and he's trying to join, the Justice Gang, and they're just like talking shit about him the entire time. Like it's like he's good at what he does. If you use him as as the tool that he needs to be, that's fine. But him taking orders from everybody and not being him who he wants to be, I just want to be a hero. I'm in a world with a bunch of heroes and a bunch of villains, and what am I? I'm being used as a weapon by, bad people. Because let's be honest, Argus isn't great,
right at all. Yeah.
So you sit there and you look at that, but then it's like you look at Rick Flag. This is not the Rick Flag that you see from Creature Commandos. He wouldn't be doing lines of coke with he wouldn't be doing lines of coke with Lex's cronies and shit like that in Creature Commandos. It's not the same guy. This is
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
And a lot of people are like, well, theories. Let's do theories about it's Clayface. It's not really Rick Flag. They've already did that in Creature Commandos. Why would James Gunn reuse it? Mm-hmm. And my thing is like with. I'm a stickler, and I hate that I do this, but it's like there are source materials, and James Gunn has literally said, "I'll take bits from this, bits from this, bits from this, and use it, but I'm not going to use it in its entirety." And I get Earth X. This was a story of, Peacemaker going over there, seeing his dad, seeing his brother, but it's like this was a short story, and I got it right here. Overman, Germany won the war. All the superheroes were German superheroes. Superman was a German, it's like, and they overlooked all of that. And I get it's just they're taking a piece of it. It's that world, and this is Peacemaker's spot in it. So it's like you don't want it overpowered by other things, but it's like the picking and choosing confuses a lot of people. It's like you're telling me there's no other superheroes. It was just the three of them because that's all they ever talked about.
It confuses people, I think, that read the comics, but if they're going for general audiences, I don't know that overly. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, I get it. Like, I think that's a fair thought on that. But I mean, if it's just a small short story taking a piece of something that's so tiny, like I guess.
And I would admit that it being just his story, like he walked through this door and that's what he found. Okay, great. But it's like you made a big thing about the whole Nazi thing after like 6 episodes. So, but again, it's like even with Max Lord, James Gunn has said, I don't want to do the evil Max Lord. Well, Max Lord's a bad guy in the DC universe. He was played by Pedro in the Wonder Woman movie, which I never watched the second one, but it's like he has.
You didn't miss nothing. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I know.
No, you missed something. You missed Warner Brothers taking a $25 million dump on their own franchise.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I actually liked the first Wonder Woman movie quite a lot. Yeah. I was a big fan of that. Minus, I thought Ares was kind of lame. Like, this is the god of fucking war, and he puts on some tinfoil. Now he's got armor. Okay, whatever.
Right.
But that movie's Jesus God. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. But
it's like you've introduced the character, and then he's taking. Well, I like the good Max Lord. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Again, that's something that can be dealt with. But you sit there and. Again, we'll bring up the White Rabbit. They made such a big deal before season 2 of we're introducing new characters. She had 2 minutes in it, and she was crying as she ran out the door.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even know what you're talking about. So hey, fucking right now.
That's James Gunn. He needs to. That is one of the biggest problems with this.
He likes member berries, right?
No, he does a lot of talking. Like he did. They only showed the screeners, or they showed the reviewers, like YouTube reviewers and critics, I think the first 4 episodes or maybe 5. And then he was like, yeah, you guys the next 3 episodes are going to be huge. And he hyped up cameos, like huge cameos. And sure, we got Lex, which was cool. And then we got Otis and Numbnuts with the horrible Three Stooges haircut and the mustache. Like, no one cares about those guys. But my thing with the end of episode 8 wasn't the action. It was, we had such a huge episode 7 and emotion that they just kind of went really quick with it. And so they had this moment where Chris breaks down, and it's a really big moment. And then he kind of glosses over that. He just goes up there to talk to Harcourt. And the next thing you know, he's, yeah, you know what I mean? And it almost like all the stuff with his brother and his dad, we didn't get a chance to see that register. We see him break down in 7. And then it's just kind of like, okay, they kind of just go past that real fast. And I was like, you had a lot of meat there. And you could have got more out of that. And you put so much emphasis on that shitty band, like in these concerts, and then you bring in Nelson.
Bro,
like,
you got their CD. Shut up.
It was just like, this episode was for James Gunn. That was it. And
but here's the thing about that, though. I think
that lost me. The montage lost me. I felt like you could have got a lot more. I liked what they did. Don't get me wrong. But there was so much. 7 was so powerful to where 8 was just like it skipped over that really fast, and then it jumped to the next thing. But I think they just could have got more out of it. That's all.
I think that's fair, and then I want to toss it over to Jay in a moment too. But all I want to say to that is, like, I feel like because I agree that I can see that, like, you know, we had this big moment in 7, and then, but again, he reconciled that death of his brother and the dad stuff. Even though he's still fighting that in this season, he's already kind of been through that. So while it was important once again, because it kind of came up because of what he was doing and where he was at and still trying to find those good feelings, I still think that the point was more important was to get Harcourt's love and attention over that stuff. So while that was definitely something on like the timeline of being like, hey, you know, expressing like, am I the shitty person? Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? I don't know after that outburst we really needed anything else with that. He had to reconcile that shit like after his dad died last season and then with his brother died as a kid. So I still think that the boat was kind of turning to really, really kind of like zero in on like where he was going with Harcourt. I mean, think of that conversation he had with her in Argus, you know, in that that world, you know what I mean? Like he was really trying to get through to her, and you could tell it was affecting him. And
that was definitely a main part of it, but just the way he reacted. And then, like, how he was like, I'm a fuck up. It's me. I'm the problem. It's not your world. It's not my world. And then his answer was, oh, yeah, I'm cursed. And it almost took away the seriousness of the situation. He was like, oh, I'm just cursed. And then she kind of gave him the pep talk, which was a great pep talk because she adds as that actress, like you said, phenomenal. And I just felt there was a lot more there that they could have pulled from it. Okay. And it was just, to me, it was just the execution. And then he definitely had to do the stuff with Harcourt because that was part of the main thing from the beginning of the season, which I totally understand that. But I think they could have got way more from the death again of being a part of his brother's life and his dad, and seeing that his dad was a good dude and then he just gets killed. I was just like, damn. And in a very rough way, I think they just could have got more. And it was just the execution for me.
It was interesting because like you thought his dad was because clearly it sounded like his dad. They were fighting the local police. When he said that, we're fighting them. And I'm like, oh, wait, they're actually literally the good guys in a Nazi world outside of some other things that his brother was chasing.
Well, the fact that they called him a Nazi, and he's like, I am not a Nazi. He's
don't
call me that.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But what do you think, Jay, after we've all kind of spilled our beans out here
stuff, how you feeling? I mean, that's the beautiful thing about, once again, you know, you and I have had these talks both online and offline. It's art, you know, it's subjective. But like one of the things that I loved was being such a DCU fanboy. When did I tell you that they were on Earth X?
Literally, was it after episode 2 or 2 or 3 somewhere? You called me one night and you'd watch that 2 or 3 and you'd had this revelation about it. You're like, I think that, and I was like, oh, what? The first time we talked, you were like, I can't tell you till you caught up, so I had to wait either way. But yeah, and then you were like, this is what I think it is. I'm like, oh shit, really?
I didn't know what Earth X was, but I was like, there's something awfully not diverse about this world. And I was waiting for the shoe to drop.
Right. And that's the thing. So like it was so interesting to me because like when you get into those racial issues, which I think James Gunn actually touched on very well in this, that like when it comes to, you know, Caucasian Americans, like there's the people that say they're colorblind and there's not. There's the people that understand diversity and inclusion, and then there's that middle set, which is where Christopher Smith's dumbass comes in, and he really doesn't see color. So to him, you know, he just sees people, you know, and so for him, he's like, what do you mean you don't see a person of color around here? And he looks around and he's like, oh
Well,
shit,
he was idolized.
right.
He was idolized. So it's
Yeah,
like,
he was
you know,
he was getting things he's always wanted, right?
Like,
Yeah.
yep, and so he had the blinders on, and like it was just, that was really interesting to me. And then I will say the pacing for episode 8, it needed to be 2 more episodes. You needed an
It
episode
needed.
8 and an episode 9 at least, if not going
Yeah.
full 10. However, I think everybody is really, really wrong when it comes to Rick Flag Sr.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you go
Let's go.
back, if you go back to Creature Commandos, right? His interaction with the bride, with all of the Creature Commandos, and with Eric Frankenstein, he does not like metas or monsters. Does not like them by the time the season's over. He actively tries to fight against his own Creature Commandos because the human can't be the bad guy. Then you go into
don't have a
Superman.
disagreement with that. I agree with that completely. I
Right.
do. But that's
Okay.
not how they were portraying him in that last episode.
Well, that's the thing. So then you go into Superman, which follows right after Creature Commandos, and he's taken over from Waller, and he finds out that, you know, Waller sent his son with a bunch of metahumans, and that's what got him killed. And doing all this space superhero-y shit, you know, with Starro, like then you add that little seed to the fire. Then you bring in Superman, because here's the deal. When we were talking about Superman, Tone, you'll remember this. I said what was really great about the end of Superman was it turned out that the U.S. government wasn't wrong. Superman and the Injustice Gang interfered in international affairs
Mhm.
on behalf of no country. They just did it because they had the power to do it.
Mhm.
And so when you add all those things up, Rick Flag Sr. finding out that some no-name fucking Batman wannabe with a pistol killed his son in the name of all this superheroing bullshit, like I can really see where Rick Flag Sr. went. And then him like doing blow with, you know, Lex Luthor's guys and like high five.
Luger, yeah. No, it's fine.
Yeah. John Cena in the torture rack, but
Yeah.
him doing the blow with them really doesn't ring that far off from him drinking with the bride and Eric Frankenstein and Creature Commandos, him palling it up with Lex Luthor, with literal clone Superman, Ultraman standing right there. Like, I think his character has been developing right in front of our eyes. It's just because of the way DC's storytelling right now with animation, movies, and television, it's all loosely interconnected. I think we're treating them like separate things when they're not. You know, that's why James Gunn went so far as to reshoot the last scene in Peacemaker season 1 over again with Peacemaker season 2 and swapping out the DCEU Justice League, the DCU Justice Gang, and changing those lines was so that he was like, hey, this is going to be a loosely connected universe, and I'm going to do everything I can to service that greater storytelling. And so
unlike Marvel sometimes, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, like,
Yeah.
don't even get me started on fucking Eternals and how stupid it was that it didn't with Thanos. Like, but that's the thing that I'm enjoying is the pacing was definitely off. It needed another episode or two, and I think Captain Triumph was hung up for us for another season because
Yeah.
that Keith clearly knows the portal situation better than even Chris does. So I think that they were giving us that hint for a future big bad. And I think with the introduction of Checkmate and the introduction of Salvation, I think we're only starting to see the first arcs starting to come together. And I think they do a really good service to those of us that are fans. And I don't know if you'll agree with this, Mike, or not, because you're a pretty big DC guy too. But like the beginning of Superman, it literally said 3,000 years ago, 300 years ago, 30 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 hours ago, 3 minutes ago.
Right.
And it treats even general audiences like Rohit and Fanboy like they know who the fuck Superman is. They know what kryptonite is. And so he's in favor of getting that story moving because let's face it, the DC universe, like the prior one, DCEU, really kind of struck out with that. Like Batman did not feel the same, and I think Ben Affleck did a great job as Batman. But
Yeah.
Batman
I
did
do
not
too,
feel
actually.
the same between Batman versus Superman and then the first iteration of Justice League. I think the Snyderverse version of Justice League did a little bit better of balancing them out, but it just it's one of those things where I think they're still learning their pacing. I think James Gunn's going to have to learn to delegate some shit because
Yeah, he needs to delegate some shit.
the Creature Commandos was great. Peacemaker so far has been great. The Suicide Squad was great. But it's not quite as epic as it could be, and that's because he's trying to push the narrative a little too much.
Here's a fun little tidbit. I watched, and I'm a big fan of this movie. I know it's kind of hit or miss with some people. I actually love the movie Brightburn. I had
Yes,
no
dude, I love
idea.
that movie.
Oh God, I love that movie. There's a lot of people from Brightburn in Peacemaker. It's
Yeah.
more of how Gunn like to surround himself with people. Pretty neat. Of course, Michael Rooker's the best cameo in that whole entire movie at the end there when he's going off like he's Alex Jones. But yeah, I just watched that the other night. I really love that movie. But no, that's great. That's a lot of good hearty, meaty stuff there. Everybody's got to feel about a lot of good different perspectives there. So I do want to kind of go around the horn and just get a little granular on some of the stuff here too. And Britt did agree with you guys about needing maybe another episode or two there too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna start here with you, Mike. Of course. Overall, what did you really really like about the series? Maybe it's a moment, maybe it's like a scene or something like that. Something maybe that just felt like it was really well done and stuck out to you.
I like that they're reaching out, right? Like,
Hold on
I
one
think
second. Hold on hold that thought. Somebody's vibrating their mic. I'm hearing some feedback.
sorry.
Is that I don't know. Okay, go ahead. There it doesn't.
I like that they are taking these lesser known characters and bringing them to the forefront because
Yeah.
you look at Marvel and it's like these are the ones we're focusing on. It's a Spider-Man, X-Men. These are the main characters. These are the comics that everybody reads. So we're going to redo. And I agree with what Jay was saying with the don't treat me like I'm stupid. I know who Superman is.
Right.
I am a huge Spider-Man fan. I do not need to see how Spider-Man got his powers every fucking movie.
Mhm.
It's like let's continue on with the story.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm rough about it, but
No,
that's
that's
just
fair.
how I feel about it. And I think with Peacemaker, it's like it is. You get to see like a vigilante. I'd never even heard of. The character was non-existent until I started watching this show, and I love the character. It's like so to bring out these guys. It's not Superman. It's not Batman. It's not the Flash. That's not the DC universe. There is more to it, and to have these, I think Peacemaker, one of his first appearances in comics, it's like he was the background character,
Mm-hmm.
for something, and you don't see him again for a while. So I think that's nice. I do think that's nice, and
Okay.
I do like what they're doing with bringing that stuff forward, and yeah, these people. What was it? There was a show called what was it? Powerless or something like that,
Yeah.
where it was about the cleanup crews that go after all the superheroes in DC and clean up.
Hmm.
It only had one season and it got canceled, but I'm like, these are like the normal people you see on a regular basis that you never see in the comic. It's like this is there's life outside of the big guys, so it's nice to see that.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. What about you, Rohit?
I like the character growth. We kind of touched base on that already. It was really cool to see how grounded it was, and everyone grew, even if it wasn't like exponentially. Everyone had their bit. I loved when Vigilante met himself, and he was exactly the same. Absolutely love that. That was hilarious. The interactions between the two was great. The
They have the
Spider-Man
same
bit.
favorite Pokemon.
The Pokemon, yeah, that was awesome. Them going back and forth, how they're just psychopaths. I love that. That was really cool. I thought they were going to do a switcheroo at one point, but they didn't end
Yeah.
up happening. And then the world building. I was a fan of Superman. I understand why people aren't, but I was a big fan of that movie. So I want James Gunn's DC to thrive. I really do. And it bums me out that it comes at a time where superhero fatigue is definitely a thing, and people are just kind of exhausted. Because like even the Penguin, right? I thought the Penguin was one of the best TV shows I've
God,
watched in a
yeah.
very long time, but that did not get a lot of views, and it sucks. Not a lot of people were watching that, but I still enjoyed it. But I think it's he's an off character in a world of continuous comic book shows, and a lot of comic book shows have not been good. So and then it just kind of translates to Peacemaker. Superman made money, it did well, but it didn't like do really well like comic book movies of old have done. But I think it's come at a time to where he has a challenge that he has to do, and he has to try to rebuild DC. And man, he's pushing this big boulder uphill. But I enjoyed it, man. Overall, I enjoyed the show. Like I said, I enjoyed the themes. I enjoyed the feel. The majority of the comedy I enjoyed. But yeah, but I guess maybe the main thing that stood out, going back to your original thing, is the character growth. I love to see characters grow and dip and dive and fall down and pick themselves back up, or have good people around them to help pick themselves back up. They learn their lessons and they become better characters. I love that because that's something as humans that want to improve ourselves and have drive can relate to. I love that type of stuff. You can't relate to like perfect characters because they're already perfect. There's no growth. They're just like a straight line. So when you see like this kind of hero's journey, you go on that journey with them because you are attached to the character. You have an emotional connection with a lot of these characters. And so you feel what they feel. You get angry when they get angry. When they get, there's injustice that happens to them, you want to see them, whoever did that to them,
Injustice, I see what you did there. Nice. Yeah.
But overall, it was a good show. I do want to say one thing, kind of going back to what Jay was saying. Gunn needs to delegate stuff, because I do feel like every character had James Gunn humor. Every character had the same type of humor, and you could tell he had his fingers in all of it. So where every character was the same snarky, smart ass, over the top humor, and every character was like that. He needs to lay off that a little bit. It was the same thing with Superman. Guy Gardner was the same way. Mr. Terrific was kind of a smart ass. Hawk Girl was the same way.
I wanted to get you
Characters
guys.
were the same type of jerk and humor, to where you can't have that across the board, because sooner or later that type of humor is going to wear thin on your audience, and they're not even going to know why. But that's why, because you have the same guy doing the same thing over and over again. So he does need to delegate and kind of let different hands in the pot, so to speak.
Right. I was going to ask. I was going to bring this up because I wanted everybody's opinion on this. It's like Gunn has a recipe that he follows to the T, and it goes back to Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got the main character who's got the turmoil, and he doesn't know what he's doing. I want to be the hero, but this, and that. You got the strong woman that wants to be loved but doesn't want to be loved. You have the playful sidekick.
I never thought of this. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
If you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, then you look at Superman, and then you look at Peacemaker,
That's interesting.
It's the same characters.
You also have the lovable sidekick
that
in
on
Rocket, Shark, and Eagly. You have the lovable sidekick that's marketable to all the all these people are animal type. So you have that as well.
Like Economos to me is Rocket. He doesn't want to be there, but he's there, and he's going to do what he needs to do to, get things done. You got Groot, you got Eagly, you got Crypto. It's a pattern, and people
Right,
are going to get.
And that's something that you and I talked about when we talked about Superman. I said my biggest problem with it was that the Mr. Terrific fight scene was a 1-for-1 reshot of Yondu on the starship.
Oh shit! I never thought about that either.
Like
Fuck!
The 70s music, you have the item flying around and him just walking so cool while the items.
Come on,
doing all the work
James.
for him.
Yep.
Like, and that's the thing is, like I said, the DCU is right now beating the pants off of Marvel for me, but that's still not enough. And to further expand on what Rohit said earlier, the superhero fatigue is so real, and DC's got such a backlog compared to Marvel that literally Superman was number one and number two and stayed number two for its first month of release, but like an MCU movie up until after Endgame was almost guaranteed to stay number one for a month. And DC
Yeah.
Superman didn't do that. And one of the reasons for that is everybody knew the day it released that it was going to be on HBO Max within 5 weeks. And
Yeah.
so if you're paying $15 for an HBO Max subscription, and that's where you're going to watch Creature Commandos anyways, and that's where you're going to watch the Suicide Squad anyways, and that's where you're going to watch Peacemaker anyways, the Nielsen ratings for Superman, it debuted at number 2 on the Nielsen ratings for TV, and it stayed in the top 5 for the last 2 months. And so the movie itself is good, and Peacemaker itself was good, but the way we're consuming content now, to get people's asses in seats at a movie theater is very, very different than getting them to buy into a home. And I think that James Gunn's DCU is much better as the sitting on the couch on a Friday night and consuming that content than it is for the big screen. Like Superman,
It's not an event. It has to be an event to get you there.
right,
Like
exactly.
Avatar is an event. People will go see Avatar because it's a spectacle. And these comic book movies, they haven't been an event in a very long time since probably Endgame.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I think that's a good point too. Well, you don't think Deadpool Wolverine that made a fuck ton of money and that was awesome?
Okay, but
Yeah,
you're
and
going
that
off.
was, but I
That's
think that
fan
was
favor
that
right
was
there.
the circumstances around it. It was
You
an
did it.
R-rated movie. Wolverine was coming back. You had a very
I
huge
love it.
team up, and it had a lot of history there. So that again, yeah, that was an event. And so was No Way Home. That was also an event.
I think Fantastic Four was trying to be, it just didn't fully fashion
didn't
itself
hit.
it didn't hit as well as I think everybody was hoping. So
I was
Jay, what?
surprised.
Yeah, I think and I definitely had to bow to all of you because I didn't, I was a little bit more starry-eyed about it than everybody, and I'm like that pretty frequently with the content until I think about it for a few days and then hear everybody else bitching about it. But I definitely agreed it was that last act was pretty rushed with Galactus. But Jay, what about you? As far as like a favorite episode, moment, callback, Easter egg, whatever, what was something that just stuck out to you?
So my absolute favorite of it was the montage during 8. If the montage would have lasted the entire episode 8, and then we got an episode 9 that was Rick Flag enacting his final plan, and then like a checkmate that we now know something about, because like right now, Rohit, what do you know about checkmate?
I don't know anything about Checkmate, but I did look into Salvation, and I do wonder if they're going to go the dark side route.
Right. And
That's
so
the
that's
plan,
the thing
from what I understand.
is like, I can't ask Mike that question because he knows what checkmate is, but
Right.
Tom, what do you know about checkmate after watching?
It's how one way that you can stalemate a game in chess, which I'm a huge fan of. So that
See,
literally,
and that's what I'm saying is, like, if they'd have just given that 8th episode as a montage, a break from the ultra violence that was the end of episode 7, and then they gave us an episode 9 that turned into, here's checkmate, here's what they're doing, here's how Chris is going to be such a vital part of it, and then having Rip Flag rip him away and stick him on Salvation, I would be giving a fucking chef's kiss to
Okay.
season 2 of Peacemaker.
okay.
And I hate being such a big like ass kisser for James Gunn, but I mean, like, literally that's the only fault that I find in it. But I think my absolute favorite definitely was the montage, the part that everybody hated, because like watching him in Harcourt, because you can ask Rooney because she's in the chat right now.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna get back to
really
that.
thought that whole season they had hooked up. I really did. I thought they had hooked up, and it wasn't. It was just one kiss, and that one kiss meant more to Peacemaker now going back and watching all of season 2 than his orgies or his drug addiction or his alcohol. He was willing to give that all up for a kiss. And so that really told you who the character was with that montage. And it was something spectacular to me because I just like, what character growth in such a silly, lighthearted way.
Yeah, no, that's because I think that you and me fall in line a little bit more about like the ending. And now that you guys have talked about like maybe it needed one more episode instead of just the end of episode 8 having everything happen the way it did. I think that would have drawn that out a little bit better. I don't know if that would have satisfied everybody a little bit more, because there's still the point out there, like, was that the exertion of emotion when his brother died again and near him or whatever, was that like anticlimactic after that and things of the nature. So I don't know if that would have solved it, but I think it might have helped a little bit more, kind of what you're saying, like drawing that out another episode. So
Yep.
I'm kind of on board with everybody's thoughts on that for sure. But for me, like as far as my favorite, I'm very simple, not all the time, but it was definitely the growth of the characters that I've talked about that I really love in this series. But just everybody, I'm a sucker for character growth and that kind of story and those kind of things happen. And like I said, Economos really stuck out to me compared to a lot of the other characters, just because of who he was in season 1. But dude, my favorite moment in that entire and of course it's Adrian, is the Spider-Man meme bit when he says, "Oh, we're Spider-Man memeing." Fucking A, dude. If I didn't mark out like a dum-dum for that, because I also am a huge Spider-Man fan, Mike. So like when that was happening, I was like, oh my fucking God, that's brilliant. The fact that he recognized Marvel and DC, and I love when that shit kind of happens when they're kind of ambiguous about that. I do enjoy that and appreciate
So
that.
is Spider-Man real, I ask, or is he in just a comic book, or is Spider-Man somewhere swinging around in their universe?
It's got to be just a comic. That's a good question though, right?
So okay, you bring that up, and it's funny because like I said, I've got the comic for Planet X.
Let me reference this right here.
And in the beginning of it, it's Adolf Hitler sitting on the toilet reading a Superman comic book. And the cover of the Superman comic book is Superman beating the shit out of Adolf Hitler.
So it's that fourth wall. That's great. That's funny. I do want to go to the chat really quick because Rooney had me laughing out here. She said that there's nothing like having your partner make the realization right away and ruin the fun of the scene for you. She was talking about something that you had said earlier on, and I think like that's pretty consistent as well too. She also said that she don't think that the opening of Superman would have had the same impact for her if she hadn't experienced it on the big screen. That's a good way of looking at that. Yeah. And then Britt said that Jay needs to direct the next season, apparently. Oh, I guess you're on board for her. Yeah, guess so. Guess you're good. Yeah, you got to talk to Gunn. Of course, we got Rad out there. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Just kind of chilling tonight, doing our thing. He's tried some. So is that what you're going to bring up? You tried submitting some storylines in DC?
No, that wasn't what I was going to bring up at all. No. I was going to answer Britt's question here, like 2 or 3 more down.
Gotcha. And she says, "Can I ask about Salvation and what they may look like moving forward, like the character?" Okay, there you go. There's swing away.
So and so what's really weird is, and I imagine Mike can back me up on this, but Salvation Run, literally the Suicide Squad gets tasked with dumping everybody that's already caught in Arkham, everybody that's already caught in Belle Reve, everybody that's already caught in all the super prisons, right? And dumping them on this planet called, like, it's nicknamed Salvation, right? And then when they get done capturing all the active criminals that they can, Rick Flag Jr. and Amanda Waller push their asses in too. Deadshot, Bane, Vandal Savage's daughter, Scandal Savage. He pushes all of the Suicide Squad into the portal with them, and they land on this planet that's supposedly a peaceful utopia. And as you saw at the end of Peacemaker season 2, that's not actually the case. And so they wind up on this alien planet, and the planet has a connection to characters that we have not seen in this iteration of the DCU yet. And the villains have to find a way to escape and get back to Earth with just the limited technology that they got pushed through the portals with. Because like Captain Cold got his cold gun, but Lex Luthor doesn't get pushed through, at least in the comics, with his super suit. It's just him in his business suit. And so it's these guys limited ammunition, limited resources, trying to build their own way back home, because now the good guys in Argus and the DEO and Checkmate put them all on this planet to let them die. And it's a great story because it really leans into who's a villain by circumstance, i.e. Peacemaker, and who's a villain through their actual thought process, who's born a villain, like your Lex Luthor. You know, that dude's a multi-billionaire. He runs with Bruce Wayne. Why the fuck does he have to hate the illegal alien that's taking his job of being a superhero? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But Salvation Run is a fantastic.
Jobs.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said they took our jobs.
Right, exactly. Took my job of saving that squirrel. Like
Yeah,
Lex Luthor's
yeah.
pissed, man.
Yeah. No, good stuff. Yeah, I was wondering, and that was a good question. Is this a DCU times Predator? It is not. Yeah, that's
I
funny.
could see John Cena
Yeah.
showing up in something random with like long hair, looking like a caveman. Like, okay, this is what happens when you're here. Like, you got to watch out for these
Right.
things when they
Yeah.
come on at night, being all crazy, almost like John C.
Yeah,
Riley and Skull Island, like just
yeah, that would be
out
funny.
of his
People were
mind.
talking about the Jumanji effect. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
The
how
Robin
long was
Williams
I
look.
there?
Right. That'd be
What
funny.
they should honestly, and Marvel should do it too. They kind of touch base on a little bit of it, and I know they're doing it with the Punisher. But if they can't do a whole like series, make a movie that's straight to HBO Max that ties up that it's like a big deal, but it ties up. Maybe it's like $80 million budget. You don't have to do it like super crazy, but it ties in a lot of these small things that you want, and it's an event on HBO Max. I'm willing to bet people will watch that because it's
Mhm.
streaming. They don't have to get out. They're not spending any money, and they can just watch it. I'm pretty sure people would watch that. And if you make it quality, you can
If
continue your universe
That
in a very
Man
smart
Thing
way.
one is awesome. So
Yeah.
I need to watch that, but I heard that was great. Yeah.
if I'll say this now, if Supergirl does not turn into a Lobo spin-off series with Jason Momoa just riding around on a space motorcycle with a space bulldog, I'm gonna be pissed. Like James
Right.
Gunn, listen to me now. Like no matter whether you're a casual fan or a comic book fan, you tend to agree with good old J. Hope
or a
here.
fan of Banter Babble in Seven
Yeah.
Dungeons.
Yeah, absolutely. Like fucking give us Lobo limited series afterwards. Like give
Well,
Rohit what he
I
wants.
never saw him as Aquaman.
No one did. Come on.
Hey, you know who did? The ladies, because they showed up and helped that
Oh
first movie get
my
$1 billion.
gosh.
All he did was fourth wall flex.
Yes.
I'm Aquaman.
Long hair, handsome dude, jacked. That's all it
Trident,
takes, man.
Put
Trident over
he
the
put some white
shoulders,
makeup on
something
his
like
face,
this. Yep.
some black
Yep,
mascara, and he's freaking
Hey,
dope.
Dude,
I know a bunch of people like that, and the ladies just swoon right away.
honestly, I think
It
the
doesn't
best
matter.
thing about that first movie of his was, is it Black Mana? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Or
That-
whatever.
that-
I thought he looked perfect, like the comic book character. I liked his
Yeah.
character and everything. I thought that was the dude. Like I was more into that than I was, Jason. I love Jason Momoa. I have no qualms with Jason Momoa, but
Yeah.
all right, awesome. So really, just last question briefly here to kind of bring it home. Mike, I'll start with you. Do you feel like this is moving the DC new universe, like is it the DCU, as we call? What are they calling it?
DCU. Just
DCU. Do you feel like this is still moving it in the right direction as a whole? Maybe.
I do. I think what they need to do is, if they're not going to do a season 3 of Peacemaker, then they need to do some sort of series with Checkmate, and then have that be the mysterious agency that shows up in the DC movies.
Mm-hmm.
You've already made these characters known, so it's like if they show up in another DC movie, it's not going to be like, well, now they're just introducing more people. They've already established. So I think even if you did like a short season and just be like, well, we've introduced Checkmate. These are the people that were in Checkmate. We know that Peacemaker got kidnapped and thrown into this, Salvation, even though the whole thing of making this a prison planet was for metahumans, and he's not a metahuman.
Mm-hmm.
The first person you put over there is not a metahuman. But either way, I think, yes, you've started this off. It needs to continue, because if not, then what was the point?
Yeah, that's fair. Rohit?
Fan wise, no, just because I feel like they're not getting enough people to watch this, which I wish they would, because it was good. Story world building wise, hands down. I do worry about what will happen, because Superman was a hit, but it wasn't like a massive hit, but it did well on streaming. Peacemaker was not, so it really depends on if whatever follows next. That's why I think he announced that Man of Tomorrow as a sequel, because originally he said there wasn't going to be a Superman sequel, and then he announced Man of Tomorrow. But Supergirl needs to, I think that's the next one. that needs to be killer. He needs to announce who his Batman and Wonder Woman are just to gather that general interest so people will be invested in DCU. I think it's a step in the right direction creatively. As far as the way the story was, their world building has done. They're taking their time with it, and they're using different outlets to world build. However, they're just not getting the right amount of people to watch it, and so they're either going to have to cut back on budgets, and only certain movies are going to be able to get a good budget and released in theaters, and you're going to have to do a lot on HBO Max and hope that translates into your universe. Or there's that looming buyout as
I was
well.
just gonna say that. Yeah.
Someone wants they might sell that. You can't cut the cord on this. If someone buys it, you have to let James Gunn cook for a little bit, because he's obviously doing the right thing by starting off small and building. Unlike what Snyder did, they wanted to compete with Marvel so badly, they
Yeah.
just threw everything in the pot right away. And you were supposed to. You're like, oh wait a minute, oh wait, who's this? Oh wait, shit, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And as whereas I like a lot of those characters and stuff from the Snyder thing, I think it didn't work how the way they did it. I think James Gunn is doing it the correct way. Unfortunately, what we said, it goes back to that superhero fatigue, and the buyout. So he has a lot of things working against him right now. He's doing all the correct things. It's just, are the stars going to align and people are going to come out to support it, or is this going to be a dud? Not because it's creatively a dud, but just because the interest just isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair, Jay.
So one thing I'd like to point out that both Rohit and Mike said without realizing maybe that they said it was James Gunn is actively shifting as we go. Like Waller was supposed to happen right after Peacemaker season 2, but he realized that people were burned out on Waller after Creature Commandos. Like, how the hell does she keep getting away with doing all this stupid shit? And so he shifted focus very, very quick and made Rick Flag Sr. step into that role. And then the unprecedented success of Lex Luthor. I mean, like, I know you and I talked about this tone on the stream when we reviewed Superman, but like Nicholas Hoult, I was not cheering for him when he won Lex Luthor. I was not happy. I was like, dude, that guy is way the wrong person to be Lex Luthor, and I was proven wrong. And I'll be the first one to admit it. And so seeing how strong Luthor was, seeing how strong Mr. Terrific was, him being like, okay, let's get a good script going for Man of Tomorrow and put Lex Luthor in a super suit. Like, he's going to be shifting. And that's something that Marvel has not given us. Marvel has not been able to shift gears when shit's not working. They don't realize what it is that we love about their stuff and what we don't love about their stuff. They're not paying attention, but the DCU seems to be right now. And so
that seems like it's a Disney thing there too.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
Star Wars.
don't get me wrong on that. I mean,
He found a way to get it in there. He found a way to get Star Wars in there. Sorry, Jay. Sorry.
Wait, hold on. Is it just Star Wars though? Because wasn't Alien Earth also a Hulu?
Like, it is Disney.
Disney loves buying our fandoms and then shitting on our childhoods. That's what they're good at. Like, and that's the thing, is they can bring in new fans, and that's great. I love the fact that Star Wars got eyes on it that never did. Alien franchise is starting to get looked back on again, but like, you've got to stay similar in continuity, and even the MCU can't do that anymore. They can't look back and say, oh, Iron Man was the first Avenger. No, we got to make it Captain Marvel, which I have no problems with Captain Marvel as a character, but we'll digress from that. But
I think it was releasing. I think for me, it was the releasing. You made it a period piece. And you made a period piece way too late in the staging of what the movies were.
Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
And that's just, like I said, it's just
I know
I
that
problem, but it's like the Black Widow movie. You kill her off in Endgame, and then you give her
absolutely on that one.
It's like, why?
And then you give her one of the better movies.
And then you give her a shitty villain that shouldn't have been shitty.
Right.
Just saying on that.
We were talking about Thunderbolts. Jay and I talked about that too, because some people were like, "Why'd they kill her off right?" And I think it was Disney paying fan favorite to. We know we fucked this up, so we're gonna kill her off like right away.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that
Yeah, so
one of the
for
few
me-
times they listen to somebody.
For
Right.
me, the DCU is right now in the same stages that Marvel was in the Incredible Hulk and the Iron Man phase. Only they're already feeling more connected than just these little 3-minute teasers. Like,
Okay.
Guy
Yeah,
Gardner exists in the same world as a punk rock Superman,
that's
and he also exists in the same world as a drug addled John Cena Superman. Versus
yeah. It was hard watching an entire season and not having a main character. Let's see. So, well, hey, no, I appreciate your thoughts on that. Lastly, for me, on it, yeah, I definitely feel like it's moving in the right direction. I think that's a good way of looking at it too. I think back then it was new to us, so like we always waited for those 3-minute things at the end of the movies because it was nothing that had been done before. And while I think that's still a good thing for them to carry on because that is their thing, and it's good to introduce stuff and tease for the next thing, as it's become the superhero fatigue, it's not had as much. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not stuck the landing as much, maybe, or sometimes like they also do the lamest shit, like it with Fantastic Four. Like one of the things we got, I was like, really, can't believe I waited around for that. Like, if you're gonna make me wait another 10 minutes, 15 minutes after a 3-hour movie, give me some real weight and substance to it. I don't want the bits. Like do that one right away or something. I don't know, but I digress. I do feel like that's a good point. Like that the way DC is doing it, they're doing it their way. It's like introducing characters in the actual product and kind of like already kind of get them moving before they get into another project. And it seems to be something that is definitely helped move them in the
Are
right
you
direction.
guys excited to see Guy Gardner back in the Lanterns TV show? Because I'm excited for that.
Oh,
After
he
the-
was
I like it's Nathan
that was
Fillion. It's Nathan Fillion, so it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I loved him in Superman. I liked him in.
Well,
I'm
it was
all
Guy
for it.
Gardner's movie, and Superman was a co-host in it. Let's be honest. So I don't care what anybody says. That's where I'm going with it.
It was the crypto movie in Superman.
I like
It's like-
Corn Squad.
Right.
I do like Corn Squad.
But
I hope that they bring in Kyle though, because he was a Green Lantern before. What's his name? I can't
think
think
about
of it.
John or Hal.
John, yeah.
Well, yeah, it is
Listen,
Kyle. It's supposed to be Kyle Rayner is training John. That's supposed to be what the TV
Okay.
show is about because
Okay.
the guy
I was
that
gonna
is
say.
the guy that played, I think it's Kyle Chandler is his name. He was the coach from Friday Night Lights, the TV show. He's playing Kyle Rayner, I believe, and then John Stewart is played by I forget
John
his
Stewart.
name. Yeah, John Stewart. But no, he was in Rebel Ridge or whatever.
Yeah,
that
that
Netflix movie.
awesome
Really,
movie.
yeah, great movie. So
Great
I'm really
actor
excited
already,
to see
too.
that. And then Guy Gardner's going to pop up in that, which
Fuck
I can
yeah.
actually see him getting bullied and made fun of by those guys and
Mhm.
kind of pass it. That's why he does it to whatever. But
Yeah, Kyle's
I'm
always
excited
been
for
my
that.
favorite.
And it's not done by Gunn. It's supposed to be pretty serious, almost like a crime drama. So, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. Well, that's it for our discussion here. So, as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to pop on here, and the new bloods as well too.
Thanks for having me, man. This is
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
no, I
Thank
appreciate it.
DC is a love child of mine, from the comics to the media. So like getting to be able to speak my piece on something that I'm passionate about, I appreciate.
Yeah, and I'll keep that in mind as
Oh,
well
yeah.
too. And these roundtables, I do always kind of want to be able to kind of move some people through. Like I do try to keep with the main crew, when able, if it's stuff that we're all taking part of. I know Dude and Josh are kind of behind on this as well too, but I'm sure I'll talk. We talk a lot of media with those guys anyways as well too. But it was nice to get some different blood in here too and perspective. So, but before we completely let go, I want to make sure that we do the usual, which is give ourselves some loves and promo all of our shit. Rohit, if you want to take a moment here, just kind of tell everybody what you've been up to, and I guess where they can find you as well.
Pro wrestling, pro wrestling, pro wrestling. You can find me at Raju Zane 80 on Instagram. Just look up Rohit Raju on TikTok. I forget what my name is, and then the Rohit Raju on Twitter. YouTube, you can find me. You can look up Raju's Rant or Rohit Raju. I'm posting wrestling clips or doing stuff like this where I'm dissecting my thoughts on whether I like something or whether I didn't with whatever I watched. If you want a good show to watch right now, you have HBO Max. Please watch Task. It's one of the best shows I've seen in a very long time. Phenomenal show. But also, if you're in the Saginaw area, I'm going to try to start getting more people to the UCW show. It's in Carlton, right in the Save-A-Lot Plaza. It's a nice, small pro wrestling show. There's a lot of good talent coming in from out of the state. I feel like pro wrestling it can do really well in Saginaw. It used to do well, and I just don't think they're getting the eyes they deserve. It's a small crowd; they're very hot, but I'm trying to get more people. And you'll check my social media; I'll be posting more about it. There is a show coming up this Saturday. I believe it's usually around 6 or 7, and it's not that long of a show. Small group of talent; they're really good, and it's just a really fun show to be a part of. And yours truly will be there.
Yeah, me. I need to get to a show too. It feels like I never, because we've talked about there's the promoting for them sometimes a little bit difficult, and I never see them till it's too late. And I made the joke today is like I book up on the weekends pretty fast with things that I need to do. So, but no, I definitely want to get out and catch that. So, let's do some Seven Dungeons promo. We got two of the guys here, Mike. If you want to do some promoting for some Seven Dungeons, and then Jeff can pick up some pieces as well.
Well, Jeff would know more than me because. I show up Mondays, I play, and the ever lovable crazy ass.
There you go.
Bishop.
There you go. Talk about Mondays.
Hopefully I can get invited to more of these. I don't think I was a complete asshole this time, but
have you heard me on these? You're fine.
I have.
Hey, you should check out Rohit's content.
I'll tell you what. When it comes to the 7Ds, I'm the big asshole.
That's funny.
So it's fun times. I do enjoy our Monday nights. I get mad when we miss them, but watch us.
Yeah, there you go. Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna hand it over to Jay because he's probably gonna be able to take a little bit of that wheel as well too. So go ahead, Jay.
Come check us out. Mike's character Bishop just is about to have a major arc going through for his character. My character Justinian. It has to go to the same place as Bishop's character for our next big arc. So join us every Monday night for the continued adventures of Shadowspark Chronicles. Wednesday night, we're either always gaming or we'll have our special Dungeon Banner episodes where we invite our good friend Fanboytone on. He's actually hosting the next one, which is why you haven't heard anything about it yet because he's great at promoting. So be sure to be looking out for the next episode of Dungeon Banner. Should be coming soon. Check out our video game content. Give those guys some love because I am not a video gamer, but I love what we do on 7D.
Yeah.
Is a dude still streaming Yotai?
Yeah, he's been doing that recently too. So he's gotten back to being able to stream, and he's going to be working on some other content as well too. Oh, we got a wait, before I get into that, we got a comment out here real quick. So Hunter Iggy, what is your thoughts on Zack Snyder saying that Henry Cavill is the only Superman? Are you saying that Christopher Reeves and Brandon Roth are David? That's a I don't really know how to tackle that. I feel like everybody that has probably directed their Superman
just post a picture of him saying this is Superman.
I didn't dive too deep into it when I saw a blurb of it come through recently. Listen, I was a big fan of Henry Cavill of Superman. If you want the truth, I think though that just like Batman iterations, they typically, in my opinion, tend to fit into their version of that character pretty well. I love Henry Cavill as a person. I love him as an actor. He really, for me, felt like a very grounded. It was the first Superman in a long time where I felt like I was connected to it because it showed more of his flaws, his upbringing, and some other different stuff as well too, and some of the struggle. So it was relatable more for me. So I am a big fan. But again, I don't know really how it's really to answer that necessarily. Like, I feel like every director is going to say that. Like, whoever directed Christopher Reeves probably say the same thing. I don't hate Brandon Ruth like everybody did in that version of him. So it is kind of weird. I feel like, but he's like, love or hate the Snyderverse. I feel like he definitely has dealt with a lot of like heat from people too, though. So and some of it is kind of warranted, but I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it, anyways. But no, yeah. So dude is back to streaming Ghost Yote. He's got more free time now. The kids are done with some of their sports. He's gonna come up with some other content here as well too soon. So hopefully he's able to find some time to get some stuff out. So he's been doing that. I've been playing Ghost of Yote, not as much as I'd like to, but man, it's pretty gnarly. The little bit that I have already. The bounties alone or something that's going to be a problem because I can get hooked on that stuff and just hunt down people all day. So, but
Dude, that's my problem. That's
yeah.
I barely got to. I've just been. Oh, what's over here? Oh,
yeah,
what's over here?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
It's exactly what I'm doing too.
Terrible.
Yeah, and that's what makes that game so good is the side stuff that diverts you from the main quest too. And if you want to build a good character, strong character, you have to.
Yep.
Right. You got to get those shrines. But yeah, for me, yesterday was a great day. I was able to get some content in there. I had a Let's Set the Tone yesterday with my friend Mike from Canada. One of my other Canadian friends there. We dove pretty deep. I've known him for years from game streaming, and it was good to sit down and be able to do that finally with him. We had a great conversation. You got to check that out. That's up now. And then last night I was able to do a 3-hour just paint stream where I just sit around and I drank and literally just painted and just talked into the void. Like, it's not the most entertaining thing in the world, but you can put something on the backdrop, and you probably should because it's lovely painting that I did. But other than that, I do want to, of course, mention World Makers Consortium. This last Friday, we kicked off the Timbo's South Shore Mall shootout. God, it's wordy. I built a D6 game for that shootout. It's basically a duel of gunslingers going through his mall there, and we go room to room of the shops in the mall. It's pretty fun. There was a lot of great flavor text. Had some great moments, and it was pretty interesting because 2 of the characters of the 3 that we did that night of the matches were killed by external people, not the duelists. So the Jawas killed one guy, got a pop shot off, and ended up killing one of them. And I think it was somebody like one of the Syndicate or the Imperials ended up killing the second one. So it was pretty cool.
Did you write
pretty
this
fun.
Rule system with Draston? Is that what happened? Where characters fly from NPCs?
No, that's all me. That was all me. That's funny though. That's all me. Hey, storytelling is important, guys. You'll get there. You'll see tomorrow night. And of course, as always, check out Half-Ass Beer Review when you can. He's getting out some content. He's working on our Corn Maze content that'll be out this week. I'm looking forward to getting that out and seeing that as well. And these guys didn't do it enough, but I got to tell you, the 7 Dungeons crew right now are deep in some role playing. Got to check Monday night, 7 p.m. tomorrow night, because after what happened last week, who knows where they're going at this point? Who knows those conversations are going to look like? I'm really excited for it because I was looking forward to getting to where they were at last week, and we're definitely going to in for some treats with the storytelling that's going on over there too. So
we definitely had some in group chat today.
Did you? Good. Good. Now, if I can just get the 7 Dungeons crew to do the one thing, which is strategize and talk during combat with their combat, I would have no issues at all with that stream. So, but that's for another tale. No. And as far as dungeon banter, I was thinking maybe this Wednesday, Jay, I'll talk with you about that. And if that's the case, we can start promoting that as well tomorrow night, too. So if you're free Wednesday night, maybe we can do that. I think I kind of had already kind of told Draston that might be able to happen this Wednesday. If not, if we got to move it around, we'll talk about it too. So be on the lookout for Dungeon Banter. I'm really excited to talk about it. This topic is going to be all of us, Jay, Draston, and I, talking about our favorite fantasy author. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. But again, thank you guys for doing this. I know the promos always go long, but we all got our hands into something, and it's important for us to be able to recognize all our hard work as well too. So whether it's shooting out to the void and screaming and getting mad about everything, or just sitting around painting and drinking and looking like a dum-dum. So, which pretty good at that. So, But no, thanks guys. This has been a lot of fun to get some new blood in here as well too. You guys, like I said, keep an eye open for any dungeon banter, 7 Dungeons, Rohit content, and anything from Banter and Babble here real soon. But appreciate you guys coming through here on a Sunday night as well. So y'all have a good rest of your weekend and also start to your week as well. And we'll see you soon, guys.
Good night, guys.